to our discussion about data security and, in particular, cryptography. Data security is a hot topic, like everywhere. That is kind of evident in the last couple of months, where we've had the president issue two executive orders. The one back on May the 12th talked about improving the nation's cybersecurity. And then recently as a couple of weeks ago, he came with an executive order specifically talking about protecting data. Today's discussion, we can just leave it right there for now on this page. Today's discussion is really focused on a specific aspect of data security, and that is actually the protection of the data itself. And why is this so important? I've mentioned the president and his executive orders, but there was an article that we read, it's about 6 months ago now, in Forbes, where in Fortune, where it said today the world's most valuable commodity isn't oil, isn't gold, but it's data. And why? Because our personal data is personal to us, and any breaches of that data can have significant impacts on us. So we've seen numerous laws pop up, national laws, state-specific laws, industry-specific laws, and then global laws all come up because of data. And then we're all impacted by all types of data breaches. I'm going to talk about 4 different breaches that people who've on our team have actually encountered. With Equifax has all of our PII, it has our social security numbers, our address. They had a breach, and I'm sure many of you remembered that breach. They had a lack of data security was the root cause of that breach. A lack of encryption of that data was the cause of that breach. And more than $1 billion they had to cough up in a settlement because of that data breach. In the card industry, we have the payment card industry data security standards that each payment processor has to comply with. And here, one of the card processing companies, they had a huge penalty because when they were audited, they failed to protect their test data. So data that their testers would have had to use for testing, there was a breach. PII data wasn't being masked, wasn't being protected. And there again, we had a fine and a penalty. Similarly, the Camfor audio streaming service, PII data of 10 billion different records. And in the healthcare sector, so we all know that healthcare information with HIPAA has to be protected. And in 2020, there was over 750 incidents where data wasn't protected. And this led to over 8 million, that's just like an astounding number, 8 million patient records being exposed. So what we're not doing today, we're not talking about the data security from a perspective of data use. We're not doing that. We did that at our last webinar, and we'll cover that again. Today is talking about protecting sensitive PII, sensitive data within an organization. We are really fortunate to have Manish Nigam be one of our guest speakers, or be the guest speaker for today's session. He's an esteemed, very well established data security expert, and he works in banking, and nobody or no other industry like the banking industry has taken data security more seriously for the past several years. I mean, they've kind of spearheaded that because they have our personal data. They know our address, they know our bank account data. And so because of that, they've really been at the forefront of data security. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand this presentation over to Manish. I guess a couple of housekeeping. If you have any questions, please just type your questions in and I can speak to them during the course of this presentation. We've disabled your ability to speak because we didn't want to prolong this presentation too long. And second, this is one of two sessions on data security. It's a huge topic. And so what we're going to learn today is what is data security, and then a very brief overview of some of the techniques in order to secure data. Then at the next session, we're going to go much more deeper into encryption. Okay. All right. So Manish, you can take it from here. Thank you.
Thanks, Deborah. Thanks for the good introduction about the data security itself. I just want to give a little bit introduction about myself. I have near about 25 years of experience, especially on the cyber and digital security. So most of the data which we are currently using in form of digital format itself, now nobody is basically using the physical data. So it's very important to have that information protected. I have worked with the multiple clients over the globe, mostly on the banking side and some of that the healthcare side. I was part of and leading the couple of assignments as a senior architect as well as principal consultant in multiple banking clients, and currently working with an advisor to InfoSec mates. So today what we are going to cover is just to give you an introduction about what is data security, why we need the data security itself. So when we are talking about the data security, the next section will be the data security, why we need the data security, and the type of data security. So we need to understand what type of data security we need to employ. And then we'll give you an introduction about the cryptography, how the cryptography can be used for protecting the data within the organization. When we are talking about the data itself, so the data can be anywhere. It is form of information which we are trying to use, whether it's verbal data or it may be a physical data or it may be a digital, can reside anywhere in the organization, can be reside in your database itself on the back end, or it can be used in your mobile device, or it can be used in your application itself if you are using any application or in any web application. Or now most of the company, they are moving towards the cloud itself. So a lot of application they are hosting on the cloud. So most of the data they are using from the cloud. So we need to make sure that first identify where is my data itself. So there are a couple of tools available where we can find the related data. So that is known as the data discovery tools. So if the organization doesn't know where their data resides, so they can use a couple of industry tools, which is known as the data discovery tools. They can identify, and the second part will be the data identification. So you need to know what data is basically important to you and what is the sensitive data or confidential data which you need to protect, because protecting itself whole data will be a expensive job, and it will take.
Is there any criteria that you use to identify what data is important for you?
Yeah, it's depend upon, Deborah, it's depend upon organization to organization. Some organization, they have some like their merger and acquisitions like business. So they need to protect whatever the data related to the merger and acquisition, what will be their market strategy. So those kind of data they need to protect. If someone is in healthcare, they have a patient data. So they need to make sure that whatever the patient related data, their history and the medical related data, they need to protect. If I am in a finance industry, we need to make sure that whatever the data from my customer, like their account details, their social security number or their address, email, all those are PI information. So it's depending upon what type of industry we are, and we need to, based on our level of functionality, we need to make sure that we need to identify those data. So first we need to make sure where is my data, and second part is to identify those data. So there are a couple of tools through which you can make sure that those, if you don't know where is my PI data are, so you need to run some tools, the discovery tool, which can give you an complete holistic view where is your data resides, maybe in your laptop, desktop, servers, or it may be in your backend database. So we need to identify those things first. And going forward, we need to make sure that the data will be in either three forms. It will be on data in rest, data in motion, or data in use. So data in rest, when we are talking about basically the data which is residing either in your database or either in your flat file somewhere in your servers or in your laptop, desktop, or in your mobile device. So those data which is not currently in use and residing somewhere in either in your database or somewhere in your folders, we need to identify those things also. So those data is known as the data in rest, and we need to protect that data. Then coming to the data in motion, most of the application, if I'm browsing to a site from an banking company, so we are using some of the data out of that, and the application on the back end is also using those data. Those data is known as the data in use, and most of the application what they are using, that is known as the data in use. And then coming to data in motion, when we are transferring the files either from FTP site or we are sharing something in SharePoint or any collaborative site, we are sharing those data, uploading those data, downloading those data. So we are transferring the data from most probably from client to server, server to client, or server to server. Those kind of transmission, when we are transferring the data, we need to make sure that whatever the network we are using should always be protected. So the data is using maybe a public internet itself. So we need to make sure that even we are using any internet, or if we are using any VPN, or if we are using our intranet also, we need to make sure that during the transmission also we need to protect those data. And when we are talking about the data itself, that is, data is basically the core of all the information which we have. So data can be protected either from starting from the physical security. You can deploy the physical security within your organization, within your working environment. Make sure that nobody apart from the user who is authorized to use can see or can use those data physically, like protecting your laptop, desktop, servers, access to your data center or server rooms, or if you are having some files or any cryptographic material, if you are keeping somewhere, you need to make sure that it will be properly logged and it will be properly protected. Then coming to the network. So once you have the physical security, everything is coming through the network itself. So either it will be intranet or internet. You need to make sure that the proper protection is already there. So the network security, and then is coming to the application. The data is then processed by an application, and it is used using a lot of sensitive data. Like if I'm doing my net banking itself, I'm putting my username and password, and I'm giving those details to my banking client, and then those need to be protected, as well as I'm getting all the data from the server from my bank. So all the communication need to be protected using a proper network security. And then coming to the application which is processing your data, make sure that data is properly protected within the application itself. So there are some guidelines where you need to make sure that there is no leakage, or whatever the code you have written is properly scanned, and there is no chances of data leakage or data breaches on top of that. And then last part is the data, which is actual core of all those things. So we need to make sure that there are various ways through which we can protect the data. So normally, what is the data security means? So data security is just making some information, not all the information, as a private, or we are protecting those information. When we are protecting the data, we need to make sure that whether the integrity of the data or the privacy and the availability, these three things need to be there. Means the data, while protecting the data, we should make sure that the data is not corrupted or it can be available whenever is required. And apart from that, the data need to be secure at all the time. So those are a couple of principles which we need to make sure when we are deploying any data security tool or deploying the data security within the organization. So as I discussed, is just to keep the important data as a confidential data. And those data need to be safeguarded at all the time. It's not just we are protecting the data over the network and then we are forget to protect those data on the back end, which is residing on either in my laptop or on my server on my database. So we need to make sure that data will be secured at all the time, at all the level. And third part is we need to provide the right access to the right person, and they should get those data at all the time. Means whenever the data is required for a person who's trying to access those data, if he has a proper rights to access, the data need to be available. It's not that during that time he want to access those data and the data is not available because you have already encrypted and not given the proper rights to those guys. So there are various methods through which keep the data security. When we are talking about the data, that is the core of an organization. So mostly the most focus is given security nowadays, especially on the banking side or in the financial side or in the healthcare, where most of the client data is residing, used by the company. So we need to make sure that those part is properly protected. So and there is various method through which we can achieve those things. First one is just the authentication and authorization.
Let me just ask you a quick question here. So the first section was talking about what is the data, what is the driver, and now you're kind of transitioning into, okay, now that we've identified or at least defined what is data security, now we're saying, how do we do this? Is that
correct? Correct. So first we need to identify what is the data, where is my data, and then how we can protect. So I'm just elaborating how we can achieve the data security and how can we protect those data.
Good.
Okay, so first level of defense is proper authentication and authorization. So when we are talking about the sensitive data, we need to make sure that the person who is trying to access those data should be properly identified and should have proper authorization rights to access those data. So on authentication part, if it is very sensitive information, we need to make sure that we have a multi-factor authentication to identify who's trying to access those data. And it can be achieved means a multi-factor authentication where the user can have two form of factors which can be used to authenticate the end user. And apart from that, we need to have the access control. For each level, we need to have a separate access control, like the network coming from the physical security or coming to the network security or the logical one which we are having in the application or the server level. So we need to make sure that we need to provide the proper authorization to the data which is used by only specific users itself. So we need to make sure that we have a proper physical network and logical access control applied on those data. And one of the major things which we need to, as I am talking, the data need to be available at all the time. If you have a sensitive data or the customer data and you have your operation 24/7, make sure that it will be available at all the time when you are taking the backup or the backup to recovery in case of any disaster. You need to make sure that the data need to be reside in multiple locations. Like most of the organization, they have a multiple data center where they are keeping their data. In case of any disaster, they will recover same data from other location. Like sometime back in Texas, we face a lot of storms. So some of the organization, they They were not able to connect to their primary site, which is residing in the Texas itself due to the power outage. So what they have done, they routed all their traffic to their secondary site, which is outside of Texas, and they are able to get the same data. So for the business continuity and all those things, data backup and their recovery is pretty important. If you are residing data in your secondary location, also make sure that whatever the security mechanism you applied on your primary site need to be there in your secondary site, and you are able to recover the data without no time. And when we are talking about the actual data itself, so there are a couple of methods through which you can protect that specific data itself. It can be either encryption and decryption, one of the technology. And those encryption and decryption is a two-way process where you can encrypt a data and the same data can be decrypted. So those are the two-way process which is basically used within the industry to protect the data. Then another way through which you can protect the data is data obfuscation or the masking. Data obfuscation or masking is basically you are replacing some of your PI data with some kind of dummy data so that the user which is not authorized or which are not authorized to see those data, they can use a different data rather than using the actual data. So most of the organization, if they are having their testing team by third party vendor, or they are giving their test data to their vendors to test some of the use cases, they can use those strategy like the data obfuscation. They can obfuscate some PI information and give it to their testing team so that they can perform their activity. Like you can just replace their email address or first name, last name, or just the phone number, email IDs. You can replace those things and give it to your testing team. So the testing team can do the functional testing based on whatever the data they have. But that is not a correct data. You cannot do the reverse engineering to get the information about the client itself. So data obfuscation is pretty much important. And also when you are getting your credit card or bank statement, also you can find only 4 digits of your card number or your bank account number is visible, even though somebody is able to get access to your bank account and all those things in the paper. You cannot reverse engineer to get your actual card number or your account number itself. So those techniques are known as the data masking or the data obfuscation.
So would you also say that that was one of the causes then of what happened to the card processor when they had the IDSS data? They needed to do some testing, but they failed to mask the data, so they exposed the PII to the testers. Okay, good.
Correct. So what happened in that case, the data was in the normal format, it was not masked, and it was given to their testing team, which is not part of that, and they are working from offshore, and they are able to see the card details and user information. If you are not masking those data, they are able to see because they are getting those data directly from the production. And if you are not masking or not obfuscating those data, they can even see all the details which they are not authorized to see. So there are chances, and as per the PCI DSS, we cannot use the production data directly for your testing environment. So that is one of the requirement, and all the data need to be masked or encrypted during that time, even though your own testing team is working on that. But I don't think so any testing team required to see all the PI information of your customer itself.
Okay.
Then another way is the tokenization. The tokenization technique is basically used within the organization. Like if we have an application which is using my card number and it is processed in different 15 applications within my organization itself. So we need not to see all the card number to every application and every user. So what they are doing, they are just replacing the card number with a reference ID or something. Reference number itself is not the actual card number. So everywhere is your in place of your card number, everywhere they are just using your reference number and perform their activity. Whenever they are the actual user who's authorized to see those card details and they want to perform some additional things on those card number, they can get using the reference table which is available in the tokenizations. So they can use those things, and you are protecting your sensitive information within the organization also to expose within the organization. So most of the breaches are basically when you get into the network itself, and then within the organization, if you are not able to protect your data, then probably it is more chances that the data can be breached or exposed to anyone. And there are a lot of within the organization, the guys they can get hold of that and they can expose those data to the third party. That so the tokenization is also one of the technique through which you can protect the data, and there are a couple of tools available within, and they are doing pretty good. So the organization can use those tokenization technique. And the last part is the data deletion and the erosion. So when you are done with the data, or if you are just decommissioning any of your server or application, make sure that there should be a proper process to decommission those. You cannot just decommission a application or any database or any server or any laptop desktop without erasing all the proper information out of this. Maybe some users can get hold of those things and they can retrieve those data which you normally deleted from. Like I will give you an example, like most of the organization, if they are using a cryptographic related keys, there is a proper mechanism through which you can delete or destroy those keys before destroying your actual hardware security module, which is basically used to store those data. So if you are just decommissioning any of the device, it may be your device or any database, or it may be any information, or it may be in a normal flat file, make sure that you have a proper deletion process before decommissioning or removing those data from your system. So today I'm going to talk about mostly on the encryption side, because that is most of the organization is a very effective way through which you can protect the data. So what is the encryption itself? So encryption is just the scrambling of your data. So once you have a plain text, you can scramble that data in such a format so that even some user, they can hold off that scrambled data also, they cannot get out of the useful information. So the encryption is basically a two-way process. From plain text, you apply a specific key and then you can get a ciphertext. And from the ciphertext, you can apply another key or the same key and you will get a plain text. So this is what a two-way process is known as the encryption and the decryption. Mostly in the encryption, you need to have a key, or you need to have an algorithm or the technique through which you can apply a key and the algorithm to change the plain text into the ciphertext. It can be a cryptographic key also, it can be a normal key or username, password, whatever you want, but it requires two things. One is the method or the algorithm, and second is your key. So this is the process through which you can encrypt and protect your data, sensitive data. Now coming to the cryptography part. Cryptography is most of the organization is pretty much secure, where you are using as a cryptographic. Those cryptographic keys and algorithm is now pretty secure nowadays. Most of that cryptographic algorithm, they have tested in millions of ways and by the cryptanalysis, and they prove those are the best in industry. And apart from that, there is another part which is known as the key. And key can be stored either in your server or it can be stored in your any cryptographic storage device, which is known as hardware security modules or the HSM. There are a couple of HSM device vendors are available which are providing those kind of key management where you can store, generate, and there is a tamper-proof device known as the HSM where you can manage those key inside the organization itself. When we are deploying the cryptography or securing your data or for encryption, decryption, we are going to achieve whatever that. There are a couple of objectives through which we are going to achieve by deploying. First thing is the confidentiality. We'll need to make sure that whatever the data I'm encrypting is getting decrypted by only authorized user, and he is able to view the data. Nobody else apart from that. If I'm transferring the data from user 1 to user 2, we will get an insurity or confidentiality that the data is properly encrypted and received by the correct user itself. Even though somebody is trying to steal the data in between during the transition itself or transmission itself, he will not able to decrypt the data because he doesn't have the proper keys. So we can get, one of the objective is the confidentiality we are going to get when we are using a cryptography. Second part is the integrity. So integrity means whatever the data we are using is, we are sending to the user 1 to user 2 itself, is not altered during the transmission. So whatever the data I am sending to user from user 1 to user 2, we will get and guarantee that the data is not altered. If somebody is trying to steal that data or try to manipulate those data in between, we will get a notification that data is manipulated somewhere and we cannot trust those data. So those kind of integrity we can get by deploying the proper cryptographic things within the organization. Then that part is authenticity. So when the data is sent by a first user, we will get a surety that the user 1 has only sent those data, and the receiver or also get authenticated by mutual authentication process. Both confidentiality, integrity, and authenticity we can achieve by using cryptographic. And last part is the non-repudiation, which is basically the combination of all integrity, authenticity, and confidentiality. And when we are trying to deploy all those things, we can get the non-repudiation part also, so that somebody, if I'm sending my signed data with some confidential information, I cannot deny that I have not signed those data or I have not sent those data to a user B. So those kind of things can be challenged within the legal framework also, and that is known as the non-repudiation. Like if I'm sending 1,000 rupees notes to someone else, we can sign those data and make sure that is received by the user 2. The user 2 can claim that that the data is user 1 has sent is proper, and the user 1 cannot deny that I have not sent those details because he has already signed and encrypt those data. That can be achieved using the cryptography. So I'm just going through the type of cryptography. There are basically two types of cryptography. One is the symmetric cryptography, which is known as the secret key cipher. And second one is asymmetric cryptography, which is also known as the public key cipher. So in the symmetric cryptography, what we are doing, we are using a same key, which is basically maybe a session key or shared key between the two parties. The same key can be used for encrypting the plain text to the cipher text, and then from cipher text back plain text, the user 2 can use the same key. Since the only single key is used, and we need to make sure that the key between these two parties will be secure. It is not compromised anywhere. Otherwise, your total will be compromised. So in the symmetric key, we can transfer large data, and it is pretty much fast. And there are a couple of standard algorithm is used. One of them is AES, which is known as the Advanced Encryption Standard, and some is the Data Encryption Standard, RC4. Those are pretty much industry-based algorithm. Most of the organization or the tools which they are using to generate the keys. This is the symmetric algorithm. Asymmetric cryptography, which is also known as the public key. What is happening here? In the asymmetric cryptography, we are generating a key pair rather than using a shared key. We are using a pair of keys. One key is known as the public key, and second one is reside within the owner itself. Either it's a server or it's a user, they own those private key, and the another key, which is a public key, they can distribute those public key to the party where they want to communicate, so they can decrypt the data which they are sent by the private key owner itself. So there are a couple of algorithms which is also available here for the deploying the to provide encryption and authentication. So the user one can use their private key to encrypt the data, and when it is received by the user T, the user 2 will use user 1 private key to decrypt those data so that the confidentiality and data integrity can be maintained. But one of the problem with asymmetric algorithm is pretty much slower, and also is for if you want to transfer large data, then you need to have mostly the symmetric algorithm. So but most of the organization, they are using both the combination of symmetric and asymmetric algorithm, and most of the tools also they are using those kind of combination of cryptography. So this is what we have for the asymmetric cryptography. So I'm going to give the next slide to Deborah, what are our services, so that she can explain a little bit on top of that, and then we can take some questions if you have.
Thank you so much. So that was a lot of information, and a lot of information because it's a very important topic. So the services that we provide are holistic. So we look at data at each place that it is stored and also when it is in movement. So we provide data security when data is at rest. We can do data security for the infrastructure, for the application, and then we do ongoing monitoring of data. Our data security services, when data is being transmitted, we can do encryption, we can do key management, and as I said, we can, manage that authentication, manage that authorization, look at using OSWAP as a scanning mechanism so that we can make sure that we understand all of the different parts of the data and secure that data because it's so critical. So that's what we do. We are here to help you protect your data because you have regulatory compliance and you also have customers who want to be secured. You focus on your business, we can focus on helping you get your data secured. And that's our presentation for today. This presentation is going to be available on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel. If you want to get in contact with us, you can reach out to us at InfoSecMates. But we will, as I said, be doing a part 2 to go into details into some of the data security techniques. Okay. Thank you for your time today and, for spending an hour with us. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.